Hello everyone, welcome back. We're continuing our reading of the Bible. We're in Deuteronomy, picking up on chapter 11, verse 16. Watch out for yourselves, for fear your heart may be enticed, and you do turn aside and worship other gods and bow down to them. And Jehovah's anger does blaze against you, and he does shut up the heavens, so that no rain will occur, and the ground will not give its produce, and you have to perish speedily from off the good land that Jehovah is giving you. And you must apply these words of mine to your heart and your soul, and bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they must serve as a frontlet band between your eyes. And you must also teach them to your sons, so as to speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk on the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up, so all day keeping the consciousness of God. And you must write them upon the doorposts of your house and on your gates, in order that your days and the days of your sons may be many on the soil that Jehovah swore to your forefathers, and give to them as the days of the heavens over the earth. For if you strictly keep all this commandment that I am commanding you, so as to do it, to love Jehovah your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cling to him, Jehovah also must drive away all these nations on account of you. You will certainly dispossess nations greater and more numerous than you are. So God, Jehovah, telling them they will dispossess even mighty nations and then get that land. Every place on which the sole of your foot will tread will become yours. From the wilderness up to Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, to the western sea, your boundary will become. No man will make a firm stand against you. The dread of you and fear of you, Jehovah your God, will put before the face of all the land on which you will tread, just as he has promised you. Very interesting. See, I am putting before you today blessing and malediction. The blessing, provided you will obey the commandments of Jehovah your God that I am commanding you today. And the malediction, if you will not obey the commandments of Jehovah your God, and you do turn aside from the way about which I am commanding you today, so as to walk after other gods whom you have not known. And it must occur that when Jehovah your God brings you into the land to which you are going to take possession of it, you must also give the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and malediction upon Mount Ebal, Mount Gerizim. Are they not on the side of the Jordan toward the direction of the sunset, in the land of the Canaanites, dwelling in Arba, in front of Gilgal, beside the big trees of Moreh? For you are crossing the Jordan to go in and take possession of the land that Jehovah your God is giving you, and you must take possession of it and dwell in it. And you must be careful to carry out all the regulations and the judicial decisions that I am putting before you today. So here it's like follow the commandments, follow the regulations. So in an Islamic perspective, it's fully submitting yourself to the will of God. Here it very sounds like that Jehovah at this time, within this context, has made it quite clear that if you obey him, you will be able to hold and maintain your land in prosperity, and no matter how formidable the enemies may seem, God will protect you and make you keep hold of the new land that you were given, so long as you carry out the edicts. Now we're in Deuteronomy chapter 12. These are the regulations and the judicial decisions that you should be careful to carry out in the land that Jehovah, the God of your forefathers, will certainly allow you to take possession of, all the days that you are alive on the soil. Conquest. You should absolutely destroy all the places where the nations whom you are dispossessing have served their gods, on the tall mountains and the hills, and under every luxuriant tree. That's interesting. So notice this, tall mountains, so even if they're very high up and far away, the hills, so even if it's like really just like up and down, up and down, up and down, and then luxuriant trees, so even if it's very delicate and refined. Notice that. That's very interesting. And you must pull down their altars and shatter their sacred pillars, and you should burn their sacred poles in the fire, and cut down the graven images of their gods, and you must destroy their names from that place. Deuteronomy has a totally different vibe. It's very interesting, this one, Deuteronomy. You must not do that way to Jehovah your God, but to the place that Jehovah your God will choose out of all your tribes to place his name there, to have it reside you will seek. And there you must come. And there you must bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your 10th parts, and the contribution of your hand and your vow offerings, and your voluntary offerings, and the firstborn ones of your herd and of your flock. And there you must eat before Jehovah your God, and rejoicing in every undertaking of yours, you and your households, because of Jehovah your God has blessed you. And you must not do according to all that we are doing here today, each one whatever is right in his own eyes. Okay, notice this. Each one whatever is right in his own eyes, because you have not yet come into the resting place and the inheritance that Jehovah your God is giving you. And you must cross the Jordan and dwell in the land that Jehovah your God is giving you as a possession. And he will certainly give you rest from all your enemies round about. Give you rest from your enemies. Give you respite from your enemies. And you will indeed dwell in security. Now this sounds a lot right here about, like says in Islam, right? That none can hurt you if Allah doesn't allow it, and no one can harm you if Allah doesn't allow. Like no one can harm you, and if you have a benefit coming, no one can stop it. So this seems very similar right here, at least this particular part, right? And it must occur that the place that Jehovah your God will choose to have his name reside there is where you will bring about, which I am commanding you, your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, your 10th parts, and contribution of your hand, and every choice of your vow. Offerings that you will vow to Jehovah. And you must rejoice before Jehovah your God. You and your sons and your daughters and your man slaves and your slave girls, and the Levite is inside your gates. The Levite. That's kind of funny, because you kind of forget about the Levites, right? Because he has no share or inheritance with you. Watch out for yourselves, for fear you may offer up your burnt offerings in any other place you may see. Okay, so you are... beware of it. But in the place that Jehovah will choose in one of your tribes is where you should offer up your burnt offerings. And there you should do all that I am commanding you. Only whenever your soul craves it you may slaughter, and you must eat meat according to the blessing of Jehovah your God that he has given you. Inside all your gates, the unclean one and the clean one may eat it, like the gazelle and the stag. Okay, so eating meat is permissible, as we know. That's why it's very funny when you have like extreme psychotic vegan Christian activists. You have to be like, calm down, like, take it easy. Only the blood you must not eat. On the earth you should pour it out as water. You will not be allowed to eat inside your gates the 10th part of your grain, or of your new wine, or of your oil, or the firstborn ones of your herd and of your flock, or any of your vow offerings that you will vow. So you cannot eat the vow offerings, your voluntary offerings, or the contribution of your hand. But before Jehovah your God you will eat it in the place that Jehovah your God will choose. So you have to eat the proper things where Jehovah tells you to eat it. You and your son, and your daughter, and your manslave, and your slave girl, and the Levite who is inside your gates. And you must rejoice before Jehovah your God in every undertaking of yours. Rejoice in Jehovah your God in every undertaking of yours. So that sounds a lot like Alhamdulillah for Muslims, right? For we Muslims. Say, all praise is due to Allah, right? Here, it's like Jehovah is saying something very similar for Jehovah's Witnesses to do. Quite interesting.